Hi everyone and welcome to the Cloudcast channel. In this video and in this video series, we are not just reviewing AZ-104 exam questions. Actually, we are using them as a gateway to truly understand the key of Azure services and cloud concepts. We are here to learn the why and the how so that whether you are preparing for the AZ-104 exam or working on real-world Azure projects, you will have a solid foundation. Let's get started. Alright, now let's take a closer look at the question. We will read it carefully, break it down step by step, and highlight the key points you need to focus on. Your company has an Azure subscription. You need to deploy a few Azure virtual machines using Azure Resource Manager. So in this case, they are using the Azure Resource Manager option to create the infrastructure. You have been informed that the VMs will be included in a single availability set. Okay, so that's the point. We found that this question is more about availability set. So the information is informing us that we need to have a single availability set in our setting. Okay, let's continue. You are required to make sure that the ARM template you configure allows for as many VMs as possible to remain accessible in the event of fabric failure or maintenance. Okay, so from the question, we can understand that they want us to do the setting in a way that we have the maximum amount of VMs as possible. We just highlight this kind of uh, the keyword and key point. So maybe in the future we can just add all of these keywords together and find out what would be the answer. Okay, in the event of fabric failure or maintenance. Which of the following is the value that you should configure for the platform update domain? Okay, so it seems that the main question here is that in the availability set, the number of update domain that we can set is 10, 20, 30, or 40. And we need to figure out which answer should be the correct one. Okay, so in order to find out what is the availability set and the categories like update domain, fault domain, and the number that we can configure for them in the Azure portal, let's first go to the Microsoft document. Okay, so we can start from here. Yeah, so normally I refer all of my friends to check the Microsoft Learning document because I believe that if you go there and you can read the definition of the concept and services, and then you can see lots of extra information like the diagram and how those services works and how we can configure them up. Okay, so what is an availability set? Availability sets are logical grouping of VMs that reduce the chance of correlated failures. Yeah, so even in the definition of the availability set, we are, you know, finding something related to the question. Availability set place VMs in different fault domain. Okay, so that would be very important. Availability sets place VMs in different fault domain for better reliability. This action is especially beneficial if a region doesn't support availability zone. Okay, so in the next document, we have a quick explanation how do availability set works. The underlying Azure platform assigns an update domain and a fault domain. Okay, so it means that So the update domain and fault domain are part of availability sets configuration. And now, what is the fault domain? The fault domains define the group of virtual machines that share a common power source and network. Okay, and now what's the update domains? Update domains indicate groups of virtual machines and underlying physical hardware that can be restarted at the same time. And it's very important. So the physical hardwares that can be restarted at the same time. Okay, let's get back to our question, and here we have the same diagram. In our diagram, we can see three fault domains are available. Okay, fault domain 0, fault domain 1, and fault domain 2. And we can consider each one of these fault domains as a separate rack in the data center. So we have three racks in our data center, and each one of these racks are using separate power resources and network resources. And as you can see, if anything happen for fault domain 0 and there is any power outage, so all the VMs in this fault domain 0 will go down, and then the VMs that are available in fault domain 1 and fault domain 2 start working and provide service to our customers. And this is the concept that we have different fault domains because we want to create redundancy here. And the similar concept actually we can define for the update domain. And as it's clear from the name, it's regarding the update. If VM1 needs update, it goes to the update. Actually, all the VMs available in the update domain 1 will go and take the update, and at that time other VM will go and provide service. So the UD1 and the VM1 for UD1 and the VM6 for UD1, these two VMs will go and get update. So at that time the other VMs are available and provide services to our customer. And this is the concept that we have some kind of logical and physical definition for our availability set. So we have some numbers as answers, but what's the relation of these numbers with the concept that we talk about, like the update domain and the fault domain? So maybe we can find something new in the real Azure portal. So I will go ahead and go to my Azure environment. So as we talk about it, so we need to use this service when we want to create virtual machine. So here I go to all resources and we have a create button here. I select the create, and then it will navigate me to a new page which I have create virtual machine. Yeah, it's here. So here you have some other option to select, but for the availability set, we will choose virtual machine. Okay, so I click on the create button, and then it will open the page for creating a virtual machine. Okay, so the first option that I have here is Azure subscription. So if you don't have any Azure subscription, so you cannot go ahead and create your infrastructure. And the second one is the resource group, and we will talk about resource group in later videos. So if you want to create any resources like the virtual machine, like a virtual network or storages, so you need to create them under the resource group. So you cannot create it in the root. So you have to create a resource group, and then you can create your resources under the resource group so you can manage them very easy. Okay, so since I don't have any resource group, I will create SR1 SR1. Okay. And virtual machine name VM1 and the region US, correct? And here, okay, so availability options. So for sure, we should find something related to availability set here because here we have the availability options and there is a drop-down menu. I click on it and it will give me some other options like availability zone, virtual machine scale set, and availability set. Okay, this is the thing that we are looking for. I select availability set and then it will give me another option to configure my availability set. No existing availability sets in current resource group and location. Okay, so we will create a new one. So we have this button, create new, and it will create another page. And yes, it seems that now we can see what's the relation between the answer of the question with the real environment. So here, when we want to create the availability set, for example, AS1, it will give me two options, the fault domain and the update domain. If we go to the maximum, we can see for the fault domain, we have three. We can create three fault domain, and in the update domain we can create 20 update domain. Okay, so the question I believe was related to the update domain, but let's get back to the question. And here, yeah, the maximum amount of VM. So how many update domain we need to create to have a maximum VM? And for update domain in the Azure portal, we can see that the maximum is 20. So the answer of this question for sure is 20. Thanks for tuning into the channel and stay tuned for more videos coming soon. See you in the next one.